For this sewing technique, we're going to learn how to attach snaps. For this sewing sample, you'll only need a 4x4 as opposed to a 6x4. And for the snaps, they should have a male and a female side. The two of them will go together and they'll snap closed, just like this. Your female side will have one curved edge, a little bit like a disc. And then in the middle, you'll see that giant hole with a little hole in the center. And on the bottom half of that, you'll see a little flatter nubbin. The biggest thing that's going to characterize this from our male side is that curved dish edge on the top, and that will face up. The male side has the nubbin on top and the flat plate on the bottom. You can kind of see that there. The flat plate is going to be facing down, and then the little nubbin should be facing up. When you stitch these on, the little nubbin on the male side and the curved edge on the female side should both be facing up. How we'll be stitching these on is through those little holes in the actual snap itself. I've placed my two snaps on either side of a crease that I've created in my sample size. The crease is mostly just to indicate how this will fold in half once I've actually attached the snaps on. So you can see once I close the snap, it'll essentially fold my sample in half. I'm going to start with threading my needle and creating my knot. I'm creating a double thread here because for snaps you really want this to be nice and secure. So I've got two of the threads and I'm tying the knot at the end of both rather than leaving one thread loose. And in this case, I am actually going to flip this over so that I actually have my snaps on the right side of the fabric. And again, we'll fold it over so that you'll have the wrong side facing out. And you want to start with your knot on the wrong side of the fabric. So we're going to start by attaching our female side first. So we can take that male side off. And you're going to stitch this on very similar to a button. So going up through the hole and down outside of the snap. Once you've got that first stitch through, you're going to repeat the same step through all of the holes. So I usually do 3 or 4 stitches through one hole, and then I'll move on to the next one in a clockwise direction. Once you have the snap secured and on your fabric, you'll want to flip it over and make sure you create a knot on the opposite side. This just makes sure that the snap stays in place, that it's secure, and that you don't have any of the thread falling out. So what I do is I usually stick the needle under one of the threads in the back, and then I actually, before pulling it all the way through, will take one side of the loop and just thread it around the needle. And then I'll pull the needle through. What that actually does is it creates a little knot on your needle that will travel all the way to the end of the thread and create an automatic knot once you pull everything through. You can see here I've created multiple knots, one on top of the other by doing that. And once that's there and secure, I've closed off the snap, and then I can just snip the extra threads. So now that we've got that secured, we're going to go ahead and re-knot our thread and have it prepared to attach the male side. Now remember, I want to make sure it's on the other side of the crease, because again, that crease is going to allow me to fold this in half once I attach the snaps together. And one thing I do before I completely attach this permanently is just double check to make sure that the snap is lined up, so that when it's closed, I'll know where to put it and make sure that the edges of the sample are lined up. So I'm going to line those edges up again and kind of pry apart the snap so that I can make sure I keep the nail side in the right spot. And then I'm going to repeat the exact same steps that I did with the female side. So stitching through each hole, 3 or 4 stitches each, going in a counterclockwise motion, and always starting with a knot on the back. So make sure you come up with the needle from the bottom and come up through the hole and down on the outside of the hole. Once you're finished attaching the male side on, you're going to do the same thing that you did with your female snap. Really just creating the knot and making sure that it's nice and secure. So again, you're going to thread the needle halfway through another stitch, take the loop end and wrap it around the needle, and then you're going to go ahead and pull your needle through, and that should create multiple knots to secure your snap. And you're just going to pull that tight and go ahead and snip the excess thread. Once these are both secured on, I'm going to go ahead and snap this closed to make sure it's nice and secure. And then you'll also see that the edge of my samples is lined up as well. And that concludes our video on how to sew a snap-on.